My name is Benny Johnson. As some of you know, I've been struggling with addiction. However, I decided to change my life and went into recovery. I've started this podcast 90 Days Clean, and I want to take you along in my journey. What does lie ahead of me? Let me be frank, I do not know. Will I ever drink again? I do not know. This is how Stairway to Redemption was born. It is my search for answer in a real-time process of what is going to work for me. It is then my aspiration to help you figure out what's going to work for you. It is our journey together. Hi guys, so welcome to Stairway to Redemption, a podcast about addiction and recovery. Today my guest is Revan. Revan is from Leipzig, Germany. We met at a young convention of young people in AA in Long Island back in October. Revan and I clicked really because I was impressed that somebody who travel all the way from Germany to attend like a convention. True, it was like the whole like empire, all New York area convention. So there were like people from abroad, very few, but also people from different states. I asked Raven to be the guest in my podcast this week to give us a little bit a foreign perspective on recovery, something that we could probably inspire ourselves here in the US or like other places to see what they do different than us. And so I'm giving you right now, Revan. Revan, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So Revan, I like to start the podcast, the interview with a segment called State of the Mind Address. So basically, it's you tell us what's going on in your life, what's your state of mind, and how you're doing right, like lately, like something besides I'm doing fine.
Okay. I'm doing fine, and my life is going pretty well. So I have a job as a psychologist in a company that takes care of the clients from the job center over a program. And so I have like 5-6 clients. They come to me twice a week if they show up. And then we look together what kind of support they need lately in their life. And then I try to do my best to help them. And I do that 3 times a week. And the rest of the time I am in my atelier. I think studio, they say it in English, in the studio.
Atelier.
Yes. And paint there, exactly. And yeah, that's my second thing that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to establish as a painter. And since I got sober, all these things happened, and that's the reason why I'm very happy. Because I'm feeling very comfortable. I'm living a very comfortable life right now, and I'm very enjoying that. And to say like how I feel maybe right now today my day was actually a little bit exhausting because I met a client today. Probably the most uncomfortable client I ever had in my life. He has also has also problems with addiction. And that is usually not a problem for me, but his addiction is already so far that he got very sick and he has a lot of problems with heavy aggression, and he gets verbally very violent.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and so usually I am able to keep my boundaries, and don't it doesn't bother me after the appointment too much. Like when my client leaves the room, all the thoughts and all the emotions with that client leave the room as well. But today it felt like kind of drowning. It was a bit much. And I really, so I had an exhausting day because of that.
I see.
Yeah, but everything else is pretty nice. So I'm
I see.
doing very good.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, like they said. And when you say since you've been sober, congrats on your year. You celebrated a year
Thank
last
you.
week, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so the magic. Did you celebrate?
I did. Like I to be honest, like I ate on that day very, very well. That was my celebration. I we have a little, what is that? A catering uh in our company, and
Mhm.
the meal on that day was just very good. I really liked it. And then later in the day I went with a friend to a restaurant, and we ate sushi, and it was really, really good.
Oh,
So
okay. All right. So I see, like, trading yourself well. That's great. I mean, like, I'm at 6 months right now. Like, I don't know. We'll see.
congrats. How
Yeah,
beautiful.
thank you. We'll see if I will celebrate. I'm not huge on like celebration. Even my birthday, it's like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of like celebrating when I'm the person
Yeah.
who is, yeah, it's just too much attention, gives me anxiety and stuff.
Okay. But hey, I don't know, like on that day, to be honest, I was more excited about that 1 year of sobriety than my actual birthday. That
Oh,
was
yeah?
yes, because like being born is not an accomplishment, you know. It's like, and obviously, I still like to celebrate my birthday because I think it's beautiful to celebrate that you exist and that to
Mhm.
celebrate life. Um, but that 1 year of sobriety, that was a celebration where I was able to feel so happy that I am able to stay sober for such a long time, and get all the benefits of it, and also feel spiritually fit, feel emotionally fit, like mentally. It was, and my life changed in that 1 year so much. Like today, 1 year ago, I was miserable.
Yeah,
And today I'm happy, like this is
I see.
insane. Yeah.
Let's use this as a segue to, could you share with us what brought you to recovery, to like the rooms of AA, and what brought you to the path of recovery? What happened? What's your story?
So, so I mean, I don't remember when I got my first drink. I just remember it was always in my family. I
Mhm.
have a lot of people in my family who like to drink, who like to consume, and it was always, I was always surrounded by it. It was completely normal. And I do remember being able to zip a beer from my dad's beer or something, even as a kid. And alcoholics were also in my environment. And one day, I think I just started to do what I was always seeing, and it got extreme pretty fast. And And I did a lot of crazy things, a lot of dangerous things also. There were situations in my life where it was really dangerous. If it wasn't the car that I crashed or a party that I went, I didn't know anybody. I hung out with people who were like insanely sketchy. I did a lot of crazy things, and I learned every time something heavy happened, where I felt like, wow, this is a low point. Or back then I was thinking, okay, I need to protect myself. I can't just take a cocktail of 6 different drugs and go to a party and end up in an apartment with a bunch of guys that I don't know. This is too dangerous. Like, and I had a lot of situations like that. But I always thought to myself not to stop. I thought to myself, okay, I need to adjust. I need to adapt. I need to adapt how I take drugs. So I need to stop drinking after a while, or don't combine certain drugs, or whatever. And or what was also my latest thing. Yeah, one of the latest things was like, I have to, every time I drink 2 beers, after that I drink a glass of water so I can party longer. And things like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then with, I think, 25 or 26, my whole life was messed up. I moved a lot. I was studying, but not really studying. I was just paying the fees. I never went to class. My parents started to ask me because they were still supporting me financially. I was insanely depressed, and the first thing I did in the morning is either smoking my joint or having a shot, or doing both. And that was just a daily thing. I lived in a very expensive city in the Alps. I didn't had money for food anymore, but I always had booze and stuff like that. And yeah, I felt like I came to a point where I had to change my behavior. And again, I just adapted. So I started to even control more the way I was consuming. And somehow I managed to become more structured. I graduated from university. I got a job that I was able to keep for a while. And when I was broke, I kind of like always found a way to get money or whatever. And then I moved and I came to Leipzig, and I got even more structured, and I became this high functioning addict. And that was my proof that I don't have a problem anymore. Back then, yes, I had a problem, but now I'm high functioning. I had a job I liked. I worked there 30 hours a week. My boss really likes me, and like then I started studying next to it full time. So I was busy all day, every day in the week. And I was so impressive, everybody was so impressed. Wow, you're doing so much. And then at the same time, I had my own apartment. I have a pet that I can take care of. I was in a relationship and all these things. Yeah, my life was perfect, but every time I came home, I was so stressed out. I needed my drink. And me and my partner, we were intelligent people. We were reading, we were listening to good music and records and shit like that. When we drank, we just drank the best wine. I mean, like, we went to the winery and just got like nice wine, or like supermarket, I don't know. But we were like standing in front of the vino take, and we were like, should we go like with Italian wine today or a Spanish one or something? I heard they import also from California. Maybe we can try that or shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then, when we were home and I came home and there was no liquor anymore, and the shops were closed. Obviously, I was not like, oh no, I just drink good wine. I went to the Späti, to the fucking corner store around the corner, and got the cheapest vodka, and then drank that. It didn't matter. But that's all these things, all these lies, all these illusions that I'm sophisticated and I'm drinking in a very mannered way shows me that I'm not an addict. And I was stressed out insanely, but at the same time I was an insane workaholic, and that also for me, I'm not just an alcoholic, I'm an addict. I get addicted to everything. Every relationship I had back then was an addiction. I was addicted to my work. I was addicted to the money I was making. I was addicted to spend that money. I was addicted to alcohol, to drugs, to everything. I did not know how to have a healthy relationship. And I tried to ignore it for the longest time. And I think the moments when I was going from work to my train to go home, all these little free moments where I was able to just freely think, the whole time I was just thinking to myself, I am so tired. I'm so fucking tired. And nothing helps. I am just so exhausted from life. And on the weekends where I didn't have work or uni, or when I did all my tasks, that was the worst. Because then I woke up in the mornings and I didn't have anything to do. What a beautiful day. You can just do what you want, right? No, I was just insanely depressed. And I knew that I was so unhappy, even if it seemed like I have everything. I was so unhappy that I didn't want it to live anymore. I didn't see any meaning in it anymore in life. I did not know what I was doing. Then it started slowly that I disliked my work that I loved in the beginning. It started that uni was just, I hated all the people I was studying with. I started that the people I was hanging out with back then, I started to dislike them so much because I found them so boring. Everything went to shit, and nothing what made me happy anymore, and it was insane. And I came to that point really where I didn't have any meaning in my life anymore. And one day I shared this with a colleague of mine at work, and I shared this with other people as well. But when I shared it with her, suddenly she got it. She understood immediately what I was talking about. And that was so interesting, and it catched me. And I also talked to other people, but every time I felt like misunderstood or not understood, or I don't know. And then I went back to her and I talked to her again. And again, it was just like, bam, she just understood. She understood to a way that I really didn't have to explain much. And she immediately knew what I was talking about. And then one day she actually told me, like, all these things you're telling me sound very alcoholic. And I did not know what she meant by that. I knew that it's not alcohol. My problem is not the drugs. I need those. That's the most important thing. They carry me for the longest time, my whole life. I need drugs. They are part of my identity. They're part of my life. But at the same time, I knew something is so off. I need to do something. I am so insanely unhappy, and I'm destroying everything around me. And then I went to my first meeting in December 2021, and I went there and I saw like 5, 6 people sitting there, and I was like, oh my God, seriously, like these people, they looked so not impressive, like they were just
Yeah, that was not your
so,
crowd. Yeah.
that was not my crowd. They were so uncool. And then they started talking though, and my opinion about them changed immediately. These people were able to talk about emotions and their thoughts in such a calm way and so honest that I did not know what to say. And in the end, we had enough time, so I was able to share. I didn't say that I just said like, "Hi, I'm Revan. I'm," and then didn't say anything because I felt weird. And but the share after, I actually said that I'm an alcoholic, and it kind of felt good to admit. I went out. We went for lunch. It was interesting. And then I had a relapse right after. I was 3 months sober at that time, and I had a relapse right after. And yeah, right. I forgot to mention that I had a lot of panic attacks.
Okay.
Were from 17 to 25, and they came back. I had panic attacks after 5 years again, and that scared the shit out of me. And not because I knew how panic attacks are. I was not scared how panic attacks like feel. It was just like I was literally seeing and feeling I'm losing control over my life, and that's the worst feeling. Like I already lost my mental health, and now I'm also losing my body health. Like, and so I knew I need to do something, and so I went back to the meeting, and they just said like, keep coming back, and I kept coming back, and very fast I was able to feel the magic. I did not know what it is. Nobody, and I even like shared that often in the meetings. I have no clue what happens in this room, but it works. And it gives me a feeling of healing, and that is important, because everything else I did, if it was like I did yoga retreats, I did like therapy, I did like whatever, like I read books, self-helping books and like that. I tried to talk to a bunch of people. I tried to live in the Alps and climb mountains and do a lot of sport, and but all these things felt like distraction from the actual problem, and they were good distractions because they helped kind of temporarily. But when I started to go into the rooms, it felt like healing. There's actually something happening in the core of myself, of my personality, of my soul, of my body. And I was able to cry in meetings that I'm very bad at. I'm usually not crying, and that was also a sign for me that this is good. Something happens there that I can emotionally connect with, and I even can cry. And it wasn't always easy to stay sober, but I really, like, when I started to live abstinent from drugs, I realized this is exactly what I want to do. And after 3 months, I think that was the first time I felt like, wow, this is amazing, because I was able to remember things that I was usually forgetting. And I was feeling like my brain just heals, or like just feels like I'm not in a cloud anymore all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I got a sponsor. I started to work the steps, and I with that also, like, a lot of things in my life changed out of the rooms, because I was learning more and more who I am. I went down with my hours at work because I realized I don't want to work that much. I don't want to be a workaholic. I went to sick leave. I went to my doctor, told him, like, I feel like I have a burnout. I need to stay away from work for a while. And I did. I didn't go to work for, I think, a month or maybe longer. I don't know. I can't remember. Then I quit uni because I was studying something that I didn't even like. That's how insane I was. And and with the free time I had, suddenly I did what I actually wanted to do with my life, and I went more to my atelier and I painted. And back then the relationship I had broke off. And I realized also, like, I actually do want to be alone. I need to be alone to figure out who I am. And it just went better and went better and better and better. And through the rooms, I met people that I absolutely love. I met so many cool people and friends. I met my sponsor that I love. My sponsor's husband is my teacher in painting today, my master.
Okay.
It's like all these things, like AA made it possible to create a wonderful life, even outside of AA for me. All these beautiful coincidences happened, and the magic just, spread in my whole life. That's and today I'm living a way happier life. And I'm not saying like life is now easy, but maybe I can say it's easier because I am able to work through emotions in a different way than I used to have. I was such a chaotic person and such an emotional ups and downs. I impulsive and just insane. And today I feel so much calmer. Yeah.
All right. That's very interesting. That's beautiful. You say that. I don't think I want to go to AA in Germany because your AA sounds like so, like, I don't know, like your experience with AA sounds so, like, gratifying, and like a spiritual awakening, basically, like instant. I heard of it. I heard of people who get in a room and then it clicks right away. Like they're like, okay, yeah, now I know. Like, they have that awakening. Their eyes open. They're like, for people like me, it takes a bit longer. I need to come back. I went to rehab twice. I need to. I call myself a deep thinker, whatever that means. It's just like means that, like, uh, I always like to, when information is shared with me, I always like to process it, and always like to think, okay, what is the meaning of this? Question a lot of things, you know. But this is very interesting. So you never went to rehab, like to a center?
No.
Okay, so wow,
Well,
that's great.
I didn't. I went to psychiatry emergency rooms, but usually not because because of the drugs. It was more the opposite. Like I talked to a psychiatrist there, and they gave me drugs. It's just like,
Jesus.
yeah, they knew what I wanted.
That's interesting. Okay. So I noticed how AA is very vital for your recovery. And how did you come to the US, to New York, to go attend that AA convention? What happened? Did
So
you yeah.
so in my home group, I have a fellow. He mentioned that there is going to be a convention in Warsaw in 2022. It is EUREPA, and I booked everything. I went there, and I had a beautiful time. Like, it's EUREPA in Warsaw in 2022 was just wonderful. Like, there were so many people. And I went to beautiful meetings. I met really cool people. And yeah, and this thing that we were in the end in this big meeting, and we were saying the Serenity Prayer in over 20 languages together, and it was just magical. It was really good. So there was a guy, and he gave out like flyers, and there was the flyer for New York and ESCYPAA.
Yeah, ESCYPAA.
Yes. And yeah, and I told a friend there, like, oh my God, like, should we go to New York? And she was like, yeah, we should definitely go. And then we asked a couple of other people, and we were like a group of 5, and I was the only one left from the group of 5.
What the hell? And you still
Alcoholics are not reliable, and
and you still went for it. Like you still went with it. Like a lot of people
I
will be
knew
like,
I'm gonna go. It doesn't matter if they come or not. I knew it because I actually knew right from the beginning, because I started to be that motivation, and they were out pretty fast, and I didn't care. I mean, it would have been cool if they come with me, but it didn't matter to me.
yeah, that miss out.
Yes, and and then I prepared everything for New York as much as I could, and what was a flight, and like couch surfing contacts and stuff like that. And then I was just like, okay, let's go there, let's see what happens. And I knew that the convention is going to be in the beginning of my travels, and I was just planning on meeting people there, and I knew it's going to happen because I saw in EUREPA how easy it was. And I hope the best for ESCYPAA as well, and it worked out. I met really cool. Yeah.
I met you. Yeah, that's where we met. Like,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We met there. Yes.
That's impressive. Yeah, because I remember when you got in, you were like, you had an issue with like the crash surfing place, and like so many people offer to help you to like people had like more rooms because some people didn't show up, so they had like available rooms, and there was definitely a synergy and people working together to accommodate you, and that was beautiful. That's something that you don't see in regular life. Like if today somebody has a problem, like I don't have anywhere to sleep, like 90% of people in the regular world not help you, like but in the AA world is like it's sometimes overwhelming. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa. I just need 1 pair of shoes, but like no, they give you like 10 pairs of shoes.
Yeah, people are lovely, and I think and obviously not to obviously to mention, like, people tried to definitely help, but it wasn't like too easy, like, obviously, but still, yes, I mean, it was definitely the magic of AA. And that I was able to meet people there, and I think it's easier to trust faster because you know that you are on a similar path. And after checking out a little bit if that person is actually really cool because we do meet also weird people in the rooms, and that's the thing. AA is open for everybody. That means also for sketchy people, for assholes, for liars, for
So for people with ulterior motives, that's gonna be my next question, by the way. Like how how do you pick your team like in your recovery? What are the signals that you tell yourself? You meet all those people in the different countries of Europe, like in the US, like how do you pick your team? The people you want to have a connection with?
So I think that's not so easy to answer because I don't really actively think about who I want to meet. I think it just happens. I can say, for example, in ESCYPAA, with one friend, what attracted me to this person was the humor. Like we just were immediately able to laugh together, and I knew we can like laugh together, and then we became good friends, and we were always able to make jokes together. Another person I heard once share, and that was really interesting. I felt it was very wholesome, and the way he talked showed me that there is a good sobriety. And we started have a conversation. We become also good friends in New York. Yeah, things like that. In other cases, people came up to me. They were like, "Hey, who are you? Where are you coming from? I heard you the girl from Germany."
Yeah, the girl from Germany.
Yes, and things like that. I don't know. Sometimes I was so tired. I sat down, and the person next to me sitting down, we started a conversation. It was beautiful. I hope to see that person again because he was really cool, but we didn't see each other again, like in the convention or in any other room. Yeah, so I'm not really actively thinking about it, to be honest.
You just go. You have like how you say, you trust your intuitions.
Yeah, I would say that too, and I also just going with the flow because also in a convention it's so easy to meet people. There are so many people going around, and yeah, very often they came to me and spoke to me. I got offered to stay in a hotel room with two fellows, and they were so sweet to me, and I think they also started to talk to me first, and with her I was just having really cool conversations about relationships and actually like there was also just this convention relationship and it was funny because I felt like we were connecting so much. We were already like, so my honey and dear and whatever, giving each other like these nicknames and so these cute nicknames. But in the end, I didn't really hear from her afterwards. But it's totally fine. Everybody's busy. But I also, what I'm trying to say is like, at some point, I was like making connections to people where I thought like, this is a really good bond. But then it didn't keep. We weren't able to keep that bond, even if it was strong. So it is impossible to plan these things. So don't do it.
So you don't you go with your intuition, you make those connections, and you let it basically to the universe, to the things,
my higher power, yes.
Higher power forces out there. If it's meant to be, it's gonna be meant to be. So next question: what are the differences? If you, for lack of better word, if you were to compare the AA culture in Germany and the one in the US, not saying which one is better, what are the striking difference when you came here and you were like, oh, okay, that's different?
Well, that's I find it again like difficult to answer because there are so many different types of rooms. I saw many rooms in New York State, and I saw rooms here in Germany, in Berlin, and in Leipzig, and then again in Leipzig or in Berlin, we have English speaking meetings and we have German meetings, and the German meetings are very different to at least the German meetings that I experienced. They don't really follow the AA structure as we know it from New York. And so I can't really, I don't really like those. So I'm sticking with the English speaking meetings usually because they usually structured as the New York meetings and how I think like AA actually is. And those compared to the New York meetings, I wouldn't say there's much difference. I feel like because New York has so much more culture in AA because it comes from there. There are so much more meetings. I think there was the possibility to that a tradition or a culture was able to develop over time. So there are a lot of different formats, little details like that. That they add to their meetings. But actually, it is pretty much the same. When what I experienced in New York State meetings compared to New York City meetings is that New York State meetings feel to me way more religious, like Christian, like Christianity, that they and New York City and also Berlin meetings or Leipzig meetings, English speaking meetings, they don't have that much. It's very much AA confirmed.
Yeah. Like there's no like closing with our Father or that thing like
no that. Yes, exactly. It's way more spiritual than religious. And I mean, like I was able to go to these meetings in New York State and enjoy them anyway because I felt still a beautiful sobriety there. Yeah, that's definitely a difference that I was able to see and experience.
I see. Yeah, because I remember when you asked me to cover for that meeting, that was an English meeting called in Berlin, you know, like the Zoom
right, exactly.
And yeah, I was a bit apprehensive because I didn't know what to expect at first. But when the meeting started and your friend who leads the meeting, I forget his name, you have people from different cities in Europe, and it's funny because you can tell those who are like almost tired because it's late in their, in their city, and those who are like a little bit of and it was very traditional AA. Like I didn't feel out of place at all, which was,
that's the beauty of AA. I think I went also to Zoom meetings. I think once in definitely in the UK, in the US, and I think also in Africa once, but I don't remember which country it was. And it was the same. It was the same. It was of course it was and that was amazing. And I love that about AA. We really do have a family all over the world.
Yeah, it's a little bit like football and soccer. Like the rules are the same all over the world. Sorry, I had to point that out.
Whatever you need to compare it to.
Because
I like that you do that comparison.
Our lives, like it doesn't matter. Sometimes we don't even understand the same language, but you see a ball, you see like goalposts, you know how to play the sport. It doesn't matter, that's a little bit the same.
Yes, nice. Yeah, the sport is international.
Well, the sport is international. A is international. I want to circle back to what you said at the beginning with your your work and that person that today unfortunately you were not able to leave it at work ultimately because of because of what they were sharing to you and stuff. How is your energy when you are with people? Are you like a empath? Can is when somebody share the issue with you, especially in psychology, does it drain your energy when they share too? Like how are you able to compartmentalize those? Because I believe it can be a bit like difficult to, because if you empathize with somebody, it can take a toll on you, on your sanity, on your recovery yourself. How you are able to detach yourself from the people that you hear for work and save a little bit preserve your recovery.
So because of my work, I was able to learn how to detach from other stories, even if you emphasize pretty early on, because it is necessary. If you don't do that, then you can't work in that field.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you really how I did that. It never felt really difficult to me. So detaching to people and their stories never been a problem for me, and maybe that's the alcoholic part. Because after I got sober, I had a moment once, and it's far back in my memory, so I'm trying to remember. I had a friend over, and he told me a story and got emotional. And in that moment, I think I was listening, and then I felt something inside of me, and I gave him a hug, and then I felt sad, and then I had this shocking moment. And I was like, oh my God, I think I just had empathy. Like I just felt what you felt. And that was more a thing actually that started after I got sober. I think for the longest time when I was consuming, I wasn't so emphasizing with people. I wasn't able to do. I was, and it makes sense, right? I mean, I was numb with my own feelings, with my own emotions. I was detached to my own emotions and on my own body. How am I going to understand the other ones? Like, there's also like, even if I feel, or if I can like feel empathy for somebody, I think even if I felt something, it made me angry, because it was something that I couldn't work through. Even in I couldn't work through my own emotions. So when somebody got sad in front of me, I got angry because it was a situation I couldn't handle. And with work, that's a completely different story, because a client is never my friend. If somebody cries in front of me, and I can be in a professional way caring, and maybe offer a tissue, or just be in the room, just be gentle, just whatever, but I don't need to, there's no relationship, there's no emotional bond. So it never been a problem for me to detach from that.
I see. You were yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's what I wanted to say.
So so I see you were able to put some degrees of separation between you, the client, and between you and the client, since it's in the professional settings.
Yeah.
So now let's switch back to your painting. You say like you like to paint. Is it now, would you like to, how do you use painting as a way of escaping, or is that eventually you want to live from your art? What does painting represent to you now?
Yeah, it's more the second one. So I don't
Mhm.
use it as an expression of my emotions. I mean, I could, but I usually don't. It is more, I really try to create communication over paintings, um, and try to, mm, yeah, get a message out, or that's at least what my aim is lately. Um, and yeah, I do wanna be a professional artist. Let's call it that. and, and yes, and painting always been a part of me. I started pretty early on, like I don't know, 3 years old or something. I always say,
Okay.
and it always been a part of me, always part of my identity. But when I started to take drugs, I didn't have much time for it. Usually, I was up all night, and when I was able to be alone, then I painted in the nights actually a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but today, yeah, I don't want to just, yeah, I don't see it as a hobby. It's very important to me, and I do want to establish it um, in my life in a way that I can live from it. I really wanna be an artist, and I think since I'm sober, I have the self-esteem and the confidence to approach um, this aim.
Oh, all right. Beautifully said. All right. So this is gonna be the last question before the floor is all yours. What challenges are you still facing in your recovery like today? What are the things you think you could still work on, if
My
any?
my new challenges today.
Sorry?
My new challenges today.
Yeah, your new challenges today now that you're sober. Like what are you facing that you're still, working on?
That's that's a nice question because I do think that the challenges changed. So I told you that I'm living a happy life now, right? That I'm happy. So you could assume there are not much challenges, or I don't know, like definitely not the old ones anymore. But the challenges changed in a way that are very interesting. And I just talked about this today with a friend. Um, we do say in AA that we peel this onion, right? And
Yes.
the more and more I am sober, the more and more I realize how ill I am, and the more and more I realize how many behaviors of mine are, yeah, toxic or manipulative or just, yeah, kind of ill. and um, and without trying to push me down or something, I um, I do see these things because I meet myself. I know I get to know myself more and more and see all these character defects more and more, and that's the challenges because sometimes that really shocks me or makes me sad when I realize, wow, I thought I didn't have any problem with that particular thing in life, but apparently I do. And realizing that you doing things that you didn't know about yourself, that you do that, it can be very hurtful. And then in that case, I think also to be humble to be forgiving, to reach out if I need to. Yeah, it's definitely different challenges. I think my new challenges are to stay sober. Like I got sober now, and now it's to stay sober. It's a daily work. Because I could stop tomorrow, and I could start to denying again. First denying that I have shortcomings, then denying that I need to change, denying that that I got sober now, so I did my work. I worked until the 7th step. I don't need the other ones. I did everything, so I can just stop now. And that would be actually the start of a relapse. That's what my sponsor would say. When I pick up a drink, that's going to be the last step of my relapse. The relapse is going to start way before, when I stop doing the daily work, working on myself, reflecting, journaling, praying, reaching out to others, doing service. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. All right, this is the end of the interview. Do you have anything to say, like a message you would like to pass, or even, I don't know, ask me a question, before we close?
Yeah. How did you start this podcast? I'm very impressed that you do that, and I find it absolutely lovely and cool that you do that. It's really, really nice.
Thank you. Oh, thanks for asking, because it's funny you ask, because I'm gonna release. I mean, 2 weeks ago, I believe, I recorded my story on another friend podcast, because I was not comfortable telling my story on my own podcast. I think it was pretentious and maybe not interesting, or maybe I needed also somebody to ask me the questions.
Yeah,
But yes,
probably.
so when I was in rehab, and I started thinking clearly, I was thinking already about service. How can I, help and stuff? And when I got out, I got my phone back, started listening to like a bunch of podcasts about recovery. I was going to intensive outpatient group therapy, like 3 hours a day, 5 times a week. I was going to AA, and those tools are really like soaked in the energy of recovery and AA, and it clicked. I was like, I like all those resources, but I noticed that very few of them, especially in the podcast world, share, the active mindset of a person, the mindset of a person in active recovery, like, who just are fresh off rehab, trying to get their bearing. It's always, I don't want to use the word always, it's most of the time recovery told for somebody who already had the years, or they already have like some time. And our memory tend to betray us. And sometimes it's designed like that, because you don't want to, if you remember the pain exactly as it is, but all the time, and we feel the same intensity of that pain, a lot of things will not happen, So with time, the pain and some details are forgotten, and it happens to everybody.
Yeah.
And yeah, for example, like, at the beginning of my recovery, there were things that were plaguing me like guilt, I'm sober now, and it will be triggered by a song, for example. It will trigger by a commercial. It will trigger some memory and be like, oh yeah, I did that. I remember and you want to apologize to people, but then also, there are times where I need to challenge, I'm talking to my sponsor, like I said, deep thinker. When he tells me something, I just don't follow. I'm like, hey, I pick you as my sponsor, but be ready. I'm going to challenge you. If you explain how something can make sense to me, I will do it. But like, if you just say like, because, and sometimes that's when I understood that in AA, sometimes you just need to shut up and follow. Sometimes, but other
Yes.
times, like yeah, so other times you just and because I've seen the rooms, and I noticed those who like cannot think for themselves anymore, not fault of their own, but they've just been through so much of it. They've been so destructive that they want to be told, hey, you know, they want to be told what to do and just be safe. And I understand that perfectly. But me, I needed more. And what started as me trying to share the information to the rest of the world about the different avenues of recovery, the different strategies, became a kind of catharsis. It started helping me too. Talking to you, talking to my friend, who been in sober a couple times, who saw me, especially a friend like True, who was 2 episodes ago, who was already in sobriety when I was out and about, and he knew me when I was using and stuff. So, just going back to those people and perspective and different, getting those different kind of stuff. He has that duality of helping others and helping me at the same time. So that's how, to answer your question. Yeah, that's how I started the podcast.
Yeah, and it's also feels to me like a big service, because it is probably going to be accessible for everybody, and everybody who wants to have some insight on how it is to be sober can listen to this podcast like you did back then. And yeah, this is a great part of doing service, so no wonder it keeps you sober. It's really nice.
Yeah, thanks. All right, guys, that was Stairway to Redemption. I will see you guys later for the conclusion. Thank you very much.
All right. That's it, folks. Thanks to Revan for being this week's guest. I really value her insight on Alcoholics Anonymous and recovery from foreign perspective. I plan on interviewing more people from different countries who are also in recovery and see if the grass is greener on the other side, or if they are doing anything different. I would like to bring up quickly that this Tuesday, January 31st, I will be attending the Listen Bar alcohol-free drink award. So basically, it's an award show for alcohol-free drinks in New York City. I plan on getting some video content, hopefully, and I will definitely try to I'm gonna share the link in the description, and it's gonna probably come up on the next solo episode. I will also probably in the near future trying to get for some producers of non-alcoholic drinks on the show. I think I haven't hit any yet, and I would like to get their opinion on what makes them tick, basically. Alright, guys, that's it. So I will see you next week, and as usual, please subscribe and follow us on social media at Stairway to Redemption, and rate us on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Thank you. See you later.